Hey guys, this is day 5 of your at-home programming. Let's go ahead and get started with some arm swings here. So today's workout, I know Cindy Vaught requested some glute work, and you get a little bit of that. But today's workout is going to largely be about your core. So it looks like a really good one. I tried just a round of it, and I know my abs were already burning there after even just the first round. So I think you're really going to enjoy this one if you're looking for some good core work. So go ahead and take those feet nice and wide here, hands on the hips, big circles. And then changing directions. And then go ahead and take those feet underneath your hips here. Belly's nice and tight, pulling those shoulders back. Pushing your butt back, squeezing your glutes here. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take our left toe, plant it into the ground here, and we're going to go into that single leg B-step RDL here. Get those hamstrings, those glutes loosened up and activated here. Go ahead and switch sides, same thing other side. And now we're going to work a little bit of balance work here before we get into our lunges. So we're going to start with some front scales, so arms by your side here, belly's nice and tight, and just nice and controlled. Raising that foot as high as you can, tapping it back to the ground here. So we're going to do 5 of these, but as you go through your 5, remember, we want to do our best to keep that back leg straight, keep that front leg straight. And this should be a controlled ascent of that foot. It shouldn't be a big kick. So once you get your 5, we're going to go ahead and go into our back scale. So arms by the side here, belly's nice and tight. And then from here, we're letting our chest drop towards the floor here. It's helpful sometimes to think about your shoulder, your hip, and your heel all being in a straight line here as you fold over. And you don't want to go any lower than where you can maintain that neutral spine. So if it means starting to round over here, we want to avoid that position. We want to make sure to keep that back nice and tight. Let's go ahead and do the same thing the other side. So starting with that front scale, belly's nice and tight, nice and controlled. As high as you can go here, focusing on keeping that back leg as straight as you can. Talking and counting at the same time, people, is extremely hard. So I'm thinking this is 5. And we'll go ahead, 5 back scales here. Cool. You should be feeling that back scale with the glutes and the hamstrings, just like you were in that single leg RDL. All right, once you've got that 5th back scale here, we're going to go nice and wide with the feet. We're going to work into some Cossack squats. We're going to take it slow. Nothing crazy here. Just working at that depth as you get loosened up. Remember, in this Cossack squat, we want to go much wider than the shoulders. It's going to help you reach some good depth. And then the squatting leg here, the squatting foot, you still have your weight in your heels just like a normal squat. But that opposite foot, you can allow that toe to point up. That'll help give you a little extra range of motion here. Really pushing those hips back. And making sure that working leg, you're driving that knee out. All right, now we're going to come into our feet under hip stance. We're going to go ahead and work some reverse lunges. We're going to have these in our workout today. Remember, that front knee should be driving out as you're descending into that lunge. You want to touch that back knee to the ground. If lunging is not for you, feel free to squat. Belly nice and tight. If you're having balance issues here, remember, sometimes it helps to focus on a single point in front of you or in the horizon. That'll improve that balance. Also, keeping the core engaged will also improve that balance. Next time your left knee is down, keep it down. Rock back, hands on the hips here, tucking the tail under, casting the hips forward, taking a big reach, that left hand over your head and pulling that thumb back, stretching everything out on that left side with big stretches in that quad and that hip flexor here. Hands to the ground here outside of that front foot. Go ahead and straighten that leg out here. Drive that back heel to the ground. And then go ahead and step into that forward fold. Take some deep breaths. Once you exhale, pull a little bit deeper into that stretch. Go ahead and lock around the backs of that lower leg if you'd like to. One more big breath. One more exhale. A little bit deeper. And come on up. Take a big step back here. That right knee goes on the ground here. Same thing, hands on the hips here. Tucking the pelvis under. Casting the hips forward. Big reach up with that right hand. Pulling that right hand back. Feeling that big stretch. And the quads and the hip flexors on the right side. Go ahead. Take your hands to the ground, straighten out that front leg, drive the back heel to the ground. So for today's workout, I would recommend having an ab mat handy. You'll also, if you're in those upper levels, you might want to grab something to weight those lunges, whether it be a kettlebell or a dumbbell, or just a heavy object around your house here. So same thing here, stepping forward, hanging out in that forward fold. A couple deep breaths here. Go ahead and take a big step back. That right leg, hands come to the inside of the instep here. Just doing some hip circles. Today's focus is not going to be on the legs here, so we'll be brief. Then go ahead and switch sides. Go ahead and step back to your plank position. And then from here, you're going to go ahead and try to raise that right hand and point it at your screen. And then back down, left hand. Back down. We're just going to do some marching here with those hands. Just alternating reaches here. You should feel that core waking up. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the feet. So you're trying to keep those hips as level as possible here, hips low. Picking up that left, then that right, left, right, left, right. All right, now you're going to go ahead and lower all the way down here, rolling that chest up off the ground into your up dog. Digging those toes in into your down dog. Into your plank, 3 push-ups. Lowering all the way down, rolling up into your up dog, into your down dog, into your plank, 2 push-ups, lowering all the way down, into your up dog, into your down dog, into your plank, a good push-up here. And then go ahead, come to your knees here. And we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna work that core a little bit more with some long leg sit-ups here. Go ahead and flatten out, heels out in front of your legs as straight as possible. You're gonna start with your hands overhead. Use those hands for momentum here. And then you're gonna wrap around those toes as much as you can here in your pike stretch, looking between your knees. You're just gonna knock out 10 of these long leg sit-ups. Just a couple more. Remember, crunches are fine if this is too much for you. All right, now we're gonna finish with 5 mountain climber bodybuilders. So what we're gonna do, starting with your feet under your hips, your hands are gonna go to the floor, you're gonna jump out to your plank, step out if you'd like. And then from here, you're gonna take your right knee to your left elbow to your little left knee to your right elbow. Here, jump those feet back in, and then come to standing. All right, so 5 reps here, hands to the floor, jumping out, elbow to knee, back in. It's 2 for me, maybe 1 for you. Jumping out. And just 2 more here. And last one. All right. So we should be pretty warm here, at least in the shoulders here in the core, which is really what we're gonna be working today. Let's talk a little bit about your workout. So today we have 2 8-minute AMRAPs. So you're gonna work for 8 minutes, you're gonna rest for 3, and then you're gonna repeat. So your goal in this is to get relatively the same number of reps per 8-minute cycle. So if your goal is 300 here, like we've got set up for you, then you're gonna be performing about 150 reps per cycle here, which is gonna be 3 rounds. At the top level, you're gonna need 4 rounds at those lower levels. So let's talk a little bit about the movements. So the plank build here is gonna be your plank up down. So you're gonna want a yoga mat here because you will tear up your elbows if you don't have one. So with the plank build, you can do this from your toes or from your knees. At your knees for the yellow and white levels is probably most appropriate. But you're starting in your high plank, and then you're just gonna think about replacing your palms with your elbows and your elbows with your palms. So one thing that we wanna avoid here is getting in this pattern where we're always pushing up with our right hand, for example. So make sure you're alternating sides here, and when you're counting those reps, you're gonna go down, down, up, up, that's 1, all right? So 10 reps is gonna be down, down, up, up. Your right side is 1, down, down, up, up. On your left side is 2, all right? We're gonna count these reps a little bit different here through these different exercises, so just make sure you're in tune with that. So, from your knees here, it's gonna look the exact same, but it's gonna be, you're gonna have a tendency if you're doing this from your knees to kind of leave your butt up in the air. So make sure you're sending those hips forward. Grab a mirror if you need it, or your phone and kind of record yourself, but you're pushing your hips forward and you're doing the exact same movement here, just a little bit less challenging. Now, if you're really solid at those planks and your push-up is really good, you can try a pillar press in this, but I'm gonna tell you right now that the pillar press is not gonna last. So remember, our pillar press is gonna be very similar to that plank up down, except you're coming from your low plank into your high plank simply by pushing those palms to the ground and not moving those hands at all, all right? Now, if you decide that you're gonna try this option, I would definitely recommend alternating those efforts. So maybe one round you're doing the pillar press, maybe the next round you're doing those plank up downs or those plank builds. Next movement in the series is gonna be that alternating lunge. So I already talked about that. We just gotta make sure we're getting as much range of motion as we can. We're keeping that belly nice and tight, trying to touch that knee to the ground, and always driving that front knee out. If you're in those upper levels, you can definitely grab a dumbbell here, hold it in this goblet position. Same thing with the kettlebell. Just be holding it in front of you here and performing that exact same movement. Now we're gonna count this one where the left and the right is 1 and 2 and so forth. And I think you're gonna realize, like, you're gonna be thankful for that extra length of time and that alternating lunge, simply because of all the core work that you're going to be doing. All right, after that, you're going to be going into your sit-up. So with the sit-up, I would recommend taking a towel and then taking that towel and folding it up and creating an ab mat for yourself here, so that as you sit back, this towel is filling that gap here in your lower back. So we can do these exact same way as we do them in class, with the soles of the feet together here, starting up overhead and then touching past those toes. If ab mats are super uncomfortable for you, you can ditch the towel idea, but the reason we like that is because as you get extended here, instead of your lower back going to the floor and then starting that contraction, you're actually starting that contraction earlier in this sit-up by having that support in your lumbar spine. You're starting that activation as soon as you sit up because you're able to press through that towel through your lumbar spine here. So if this is too much for you, obviously we can go into our regular sit-up here, or even a crunch where you're touching your elbows to your thighs. After those sit-ups, you're going to go into your leg raises. So we've got several different variations of the leg raise. I'm going to show you. Pick the one that you can be the most consistent with. So the most challenging option is going to start in like a hollow position. So you're going to be reaching out overhead. That low back is going to be nice and flat. When the ground, and then from here, you're keeping those toes pointed. You're coming up to about 90. You're hovering those heels off the ground and then back up. And we want to hover those heels as close as we can to the floor before we come back up. If this is too much here, if it gets to be too much as you progress through this workout, feel free to take those hands by your side here, still hovering. And then if you need to scale it down further, just let those heels come to the ground and then back up. I'll give you a little bit of rest in between those reps. You won't have that constant tension on your abs. Finally, once you get done with those leg raises, you're going to go into your Russian twist. So from least challenging to most challenging, least challenging is going to be unweighted, heels on the ground, big rotation through the shoulders, touching the opposite side here. Now for this, we're going to go right and then left is one. Right and left is one. So that's the unweighted version here. If you want to make it a little bit more challenging, you're going to lean back. You're going to bring those heels up off the ground. This is going to be significantly harder. Now, if you want to make that even more challenging, you can grab that weight here, hold it in your hands, and then tap it either side with those heels off the ground, right? Whatever you do, we want to try to be as consistent with as possible. Remember, you should be getting 3+ rounds in per 8 minutes here. So with this workout today, you're going to find that your breathing is not going to get super high. It's going to be more about muscular endurance through the core. Like I said, the lunges, as long as you're relatively strong with that movement, it's going to feel more like a rest from the core than it is anything else. There will be some shoulder fatigue involved if you are grabbing a dumbbell or a kettlebell in that goblet position, but largely this is going to be about abdominals. So go ahead, post whatever questions you got into the comments, and then I can't wait to see how you guys do on this. The goal is going to be 300+. So let me know how you do.